Hi launchers, today I'm coming to you with a video about starting your own something amazing. And there are many of you out there who have an idea, or you have something that you've been working on quietly, maybe nobody knows about it, and you're ready to kind of start to launch that. And I just wanted to give a little bit of advice when I think about starting Launchpad, and I've started a couple other businesses before in public relations, doing event planning, different things that I've decided that I wanted to do and started. There are a few things that I've learned, and I want to share those with you today. So I have 10 tips that I've learned that I think just crosses all boundaries of entrepreneurship, whether it's social entrepreneurship or it's regular. The difference between those two is that the driving force between entrepreneurship is obviously profit, and the driving force between social entrepreneurship is altruism and wanting to make a difference somehow. The tips that I'm going to give today, though, do apply to both. And if you're planning to launch something amazing, obviously I'd love to hear that, so please leave it in the comments and let us know what that is. There are just things that I don't feel like anyone ever tells you when you're going to start a business that are just the real deal about starting a business. So here we go. Step number one. The most important thing I can say about starting any business or anything, or launching any sort of thing that you are planning to do that is a goal that's not necessarily a personal goal, but say it's a work goal or something that you want to accomplish, is you need to create boundaries. And I think that's a tough thing. I think it's a very tough thing, especially for women, to create boundaries in their life, for them to do something that is a completely personal goal, whether it's a life goal or a work goal. And creating boundaries is one of the most important that you can do to be successful in launching your something amazing. So what that means is creating boundaries in your family, creating boundaries in your work life, and creating boundaries for yourself, even with your own time. I think it's critical to create boundaries, especially if you are either working from home or you are a stay-at-home mom who is doing something along those lines. It's critical to create boundaries, or if you're anyone who just has children and you need time to focus on whatever it is that you're doing. So for number two, I would say you have to get a little selfish. You have to realize that your time is important, your time is valuable, what you're doing is valuable, what you're doing is important work. And even if you're the only person that feels that way, you have to adopt that thought process. You will need to say no to things that other people think are important and that don't necessarily go into your goals or your life goals or your work goals. And so it's critical to get that selfishness and accept it, because I think it's very difficult to be an entrepreneur or a social entrepreneur or anyone who is doing something worth their time or that's important to them. It's difficult for anyone to do something like that without being a little selfish. I say to adopt that mentality, at least during the times that you are trying to start up and really get things going. When you start a business, one of the things is there's so much to do. And that brings me to my third tip. My third tip is do a little every single day. You know, write out the goals that you want. I generally will make little boxes in a notebook that talk about all the things that need to be done to reach one specific goal within my business, whatever that is. And so whatever that one specific goal is, I try to tick off a little bit of that goal each week and then break that down to tick off a little bit each day. And you know, it does take you a long time to get done with different goals, but if you have help and you're able to obviously hand off some of those things, then that would be ideal. Take some time to write out your goals and then chunk them down into smaller pieces and then put them, you know, into your planner so that you can make sure that you're getting a little bit done every single day towards your goal. And it will make you feel a lot better. The One Thing is a fantastic book, and really the whole principle of the book is, what is the one thing that you can do today that will make everything easier or better? And when you think in terms of that and you just use that one phrase to think about what should I be doing today that can make everything else easier, it lets you get down to the minutia of your daily tasks so that you can then, you know, constantly be working towards your goal. So that's my third tip, to do a little every day on your big goals. Number 4, I feel like none of these tips are great. You're not going to want to hear any of them, but I do feel like they are the tips that people don't tell you about when you're starting to launch something. So if you want to launch something amazing, you do need to get used to being alone. And I am a social creature. I love being around people. But over the last 2 years, I have had to get used to being alone, working on my projects alone, not necessarily having someone to call up every 5 minutes and ask, what do you think of this idea? What do you think of that idea? You have to get used to working off of your own ideas and trusting your instinct on what you want to do. And then later you can reaffirm that by asking someone. But in the everyday, daily work of what you're doing, you're alone and you're doing it by yourself. And that's not always fun, but it's the reality of building your own business or building your own social enterprise or whatever it is that you are trying to accomplish. And my 5th tip is to write everything down. You will not believe the amount of information that you begin to collect when you decide that you want to launch something amazing. You'll be doing research, you'll be talking to people. People will give you tips just off the cuff. You might be at a party and they'll give you tips. People will give you business cards and their connections. There's just a lot of information coming in once you start kind of exploring your idea on what you want to create. You need to write it all down. So whether you have a notebook or you have your phone or you use Evernote or wherever you decide to put all of your information, just find one place to put all that information so you can always go back and refer to it. And I mean, I have filled up probably, 10 to 15 notebooks on ideas that I've had, directions I want to take the organization, people I want to talk to, things I want to change on the website. Have a system so that you know to refer back to that. I use I use a notebook that I carry around in my purse all the time. I write my notes in there on one side, and then I have my agenda for the day, for my outcomes on the other side. And then at night, I check all of that and I move it to the next page so that I know where to start. One of the best things you can do to create boundaries for yourself and also for your clients is to get a second line. I did this as soon as I started the social enterprise that I run. I do need to give my phone number out to a lot of people that I don't necessarily know. But that I do want to contact. I want to be able to text. I want to be able to call. I want them to be able to call me anytime. So I got a second line on my phone, which is one of the best things I've ever done because it does allow boundaries. It allows me to be out with my phone without purchasing another. And if I need to answer a call, I know that it's coming through a separate line. And so I know that that's a client. I know if I'm in the right space to answer the phone. I know if I'm in if I'm in a place where I'm with my kids, I can't answer the phone. So then you have a line attendant that will answer the phone for you. It's just a really helpful tool to create a boundary for you when you are starting a new business. You're not going to want people calling you all the time or having access to you at all times. And this allows you to run your business professionally and answer your phone when you feel like you're ready to answer your phone. Tip number 7. I'm going to talk to you about giving your services away for free. Now, there are lots of different thoughts on this. I do not agree that you should give your services away for free. Now, if you have a product and you want people to test out your product, I think absolutely give your product away for free in return for, a testimonial or, some positive feedback. Like you need something from that person, and that's why you're giving them this product or service for free. When you give away your services for free, it devalues the fact that you have actually spent time creating and basically, your intellectual property and all of that. And so you should be paid for your services. So if you're launching your something amazing, when you get ready to start, think about your pricing options. Think about how much your time is worth. Certainly you want to be thinking about your business in terms of, I'm a legitimate business, I'm a legitimate business owner, and I deserve to be paid for what my services are worth. And you have to value your own services to ask for those funds. So for tip number 8, You have to think in terms of 5 to 10 years. And the reason I say that is because when you think in terms of 5 to 10 years, you realize that people didn't just automatically become, a success. This was a long range plan, a lot of work, and it didn't just happen overnight. So one of the things that I like to let people know is to think 5 to 10 years out. Talk to the person that you admire, that you think is doing a great job or has an awesome business. Find a mentor or something like that, and then ask them how long it took them to get to this point. And generally people will say, it took me about 5 to 10 years. When you take the pressure off of having to be at that same level, and you think in terms of, okay, I've got 5 years to get to my goal. I've got 10 years to get to my goal. It takes the pressure off of having everything perfect. I think it's important for us to remember that people did not start as an overnight success, and that it took time and it took work and it took energy and it took a lot of the things that you're focusing on right now to be able to be in that position in 5 to 10 years. So my 9th tip is really to think about what success looks like to you and then write it down. It can be as grandiose as you'd like, and it's actually really good to be a huge, big thinker in terms of what you'd like your business to look like, what success looks like to you. Success to me would be being in all the schools in America and having tons of kids go through, and all of them receiving scholarships to participate and going through the astronaut program. And I could go on and on. My goal is lofty, but that lets me know that I haven't reached success until I get to that point. And that makes it so that I'll keep working hard until I get to that point. You want to see all the elements of your enterprise, your business, or your something amazing, like I like to call it. You want to see all the elements you want to write all that out so you can go back and you can look. Or when you have employees that come on board, or you have people who are there to help you, they too can see where you want to be, or you have expressed to them where you want to be and what your success looks like, so that everybody's working towards the same goals. So that would be my 9th tip, really, is to write down what success looks like to you, and refer back to it as often as you can, because it is a motivator every day. So we're down to my 10th tip, and my 10th tip is use the phrase, "Let me think about it." It's the best phrase for any entrepreneur, social or otherwise. It is the absolute best phrase, and you need it in your vocabulary to survive. You get lots of requests all the time. On your time, you're going to get requests on your information. You're going to get requests to be part of things, to participate in things. You're going to get requests all the time. And one of the phrases that I've learned will save you and also give you some sanity when these requests come in, and a moment to just breathe, is "Let me think about it," or "Can I get back to you?" Because no one can argue with you or say, "No, I need an answer right this moment." No, you can think about it for an evening. You can think about it for a few hours. You can think about it for a week, however much time you need to figure out if that fits into your goals and if that fits into your overall scheme of what you're trying to do. Because sometimes when you're in the moment, you're thinking, "Oh, yes, absolutely I can do it." And we generally say yes a lot, even though we know we can't. Those are my 10 tips. I really hope that you got something from that, and that it will help you launch your something amazing. So if you have any tips to add, please add them down in the comments. And if you'd like to follow the Launchpad program and my journey and the kids that we have on the website, find out when more kids are coming up, go ahead and join the launch list, which I will leave a link in the comments or in our description box down below. And remember, there's no limit to your spark. So get out there and launch something amazing, because I know you can do that. And especially with these tips, you will get it done. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Friday.